We're all going to ignore how sick I sound in this video, okay? Alright, thank you. In 1972, renowned author Mary Rogers published a book titled Freaky Friday, following the adventures of a 13-year-old girl who wakes up in her mother's body, and now has to navigate the adult world while trying to locate her own teenage body. The Walt Disney Company apparently liked it so much that they adapted it into a movie, and then into a different movie, and then into a different movie, and then into a different movie, and then they're doing it again with a different movie. There's enough Fridays to fill up a whole month. The 2003 version was the one that I grew up with, and it was a household staple, a cultural pillar, a load-bearing pinnacle of live-action cinema. When I heard they were making a Freakier Friday, no, seriously, that's the name of the movie, and I love it, I knew I had to revisit it, and I figured you guys deserved to come along for the ride. But I'm not just doing the 2003 one, no. I'm going through the whole Freaky Friday verse. What's so compelling about this story that we just keep coming back to it? What does each adaptation bring to the table? I'd say it's about time to find out. Today, I will be looking at the 4 major motion picture Freaky Friday iterations. If it's freaky, if it's Friday, it's on the list. Mothers and daughters will be switched ad nauseum, and you can bet they're about to learn some lessons. So turn over your calendar sheets and follow me, because I want to talk about Freaky Friday. Okay, so, statistically speaking, if you're watching my video, you probably didn't know there was a 1970s Freaky Friday. And if you did, you probably didn't watch it. That was the case for me. But if I truly want to understand the Freaky Friday verse, I, of course, have to engage with all versions of the story. We open with this, frankly, adorable credit sequence, where our mother and daughter duo are animated as delightfully 70s paper dolls. We then have a narration by Annabelle, our teen protagonist. She's messy, tomboyish, sporty, has braces, a distaste for cigarettes, and a brother who dresses like Steve from Blue's Clues. She starts off by telling us a bit about her life. She has a crush on her neighbor, she resents her brother for being neat and organized while she isn't, and she hasn't been seen eye to eye with her mother. On the other hand, the mom, called Ellen, is known for taking care of the house and watching over her 2 kids. She stays at home while her husband goes off to work, and Annabelle thinks she spends her time lounging on the couch and watching television instead of doing anything important. It's a classic mother-daughter clash of generations, with each thinking that the other has no worries and leads an easy life, while not being able to see that the other is actually the one with the most burdens and responsibilities. As Annabelle vents to her friend and Ellen vents to her husband, they both sigh and wish they could switch places, just to show the other what a day in their life is like. As was established at the start of the movie, it is Friday the 13th. The spookiest of all Fridays. And because mother and daughter uttered the arbitrarily magic words at the same time, it means the 70s special effects have to cause some body swapping to happen. As someone who grew up with the 2000s remake, it was shocking to me how fast they get to the point. We're 11 minutes into the story, and 3 of those have been the opening credits. You wanted a story where 2 people switch bodies? That's exactly what you're gonna get. No frills, no padding, minimal exposition. The only reason for the switch is a number on a calendar. Not only is the switch super fast, but they also get used to their new situation fairly quickly. They freak out for a bit, but then just move on with their day.
Hi, Mom. I love your teeth.
The mom is now in Annabelle's body, trying to navigate teen life, and the daughter is in Ellen's body, listening to Kazoo FM. Now, here's my gripe with the story so far. Everybody's way too chill about this. I would be flipping my lid in my carpeted closet, but these 2 think this is just another day. This isn't a Freaky Friday to them, it's a slightly unusual Friday. I get that they were just saying that they would like to switch places, but they were clearly being metaphorical. But okay, if the universe wants to be literal about this, then so be it, I suppose. I will say that the confidence these characters express feels accurate to them. 13-year-olds really do think they can do anything, and few things are more difficult than changing the mind of a stubborn mother, so they might as well be the perfect candidates for a body swap. Let's see what Annabelle as the mom is up to then. She's a stay-at-home mom in the 70s, so I assumed her challenges would be related to doing household chores. And at first, I thought that's where the movie was going. Annabelle tries loading the washing machine, but she crams in too many clothes and uses way too much soap. So the thing starts leaking and bubbling everywhere, and then the maid shows up, and then— wait, they have a maid? Not only a maid, but also a drape cleaner, a mechanic, a grocery deliverer, and a carpet cleaning company. Which, okay, the last one I get. It's the 70s, those freaks might as well have carpets in the bathrooms. But the issue here is less about the mom having to do all the chores. No, she's hiring people to do the chores for her. It's more about how the 13-year-old in the body of the mom doesn't have the maturity or the expertise to manage all of those parallel professionals. And being completely fair, some of the conflicts seem a little artificial. The mechanic is complaining because the mom has to pay him, but Annabelle doesn't know where her mom keeps the money. That's not really an age problem. If an adult was stuck in the situation, and they also didn't know where the money was kept, they wouldn't be able to fix the problem either. What if, instead of taking cash, the mechanic said that he needed to be paid by check only, and the issue is that Annabelle is too young to know how to write a check? She knows how to pay for things. She uses money. She just doesn't know where the money is. It's not hubris, it's just an unfair obstacle. Let's check in on the mom inside Annabelle's body then. Ellen is not having an easy time. She fumbles photography class by opening the door while the negatives are being treated. She can't keep up with band practice because she doesn't know any of the songs. And she also fails at the typing test. Oh my god, this really is the 70s. I find it odd that they're focusing so much on extracurriculars here. There's a scene of her having history class, and the joke is that she is an adult, so she knows a lot about history, and then everyone thinks she is a nerd. Now, this isn't a problem exclusive to this movie, but I feel like we overestimate how much adults remember the stuff they learned in middle school. Just because you learn something once doesn't mean it stays in your mind forever, especially when you're a stay-at-home mom who hasn't been to school in the last 13 years. But even though we have a few moments with the daughter, the star of the show is clearly the mother. This was a big movie for Jodie Foster, who plays Annabelle, and she does a well enough job at portraying an adult stuck in the body of a child, but I don't feel like she was handed much of a challenge. All she does is talk proper and straighten her posture every now and then. Maybe if we'd been given more time with Annabelle in her own body at the start of the film, we would have a stronger idea of how Foster acts for the role of a teenager versus how she acts when pretending to be an adult. But at best, she just sounds a little uptight. When we get to the mom, though, it's a different story. She was played by Barbara Harris, and I feel like it's a little obvious the filmmakers liked her more. She has way more screen time and is given much more diverse scenarios to act out. But not only that, her range is much grander. She can portray not only the jovial air of a child, but also the constricted and artificial posture of a child pretending to be an adult.
I was only kidding, Ned.
You've never called me Daddy before.
No, I never will again, Bill dear.
Still, even though the actress is doing a stellar job with the material and direction she'd been given, I feel like the movie misses the mark. In an effort that I can only assume was done to portray the casual speech of a teenager, they have Harris slur half of her lines like she's on drugs.
My husband. Hi there, Billy boy. How's it going, the salt mine?
Which sounds more like an impression of a drunk person rather than a teenager. And then, on the other half of the time, her accent skews way too young. She speaks with this truncated cadence, like she's planning her sentences word by word and doesn't know how they'll end once she started. It's a great impression of a little kid trying to tell you what they did at kindergarten, but again, not of a teenager. They also have her constantly put objects in her mouth or bite her fingers, which recalls this image of a child sucking their thumb. It does convey the impression that Annabelle is too young for the challenges of the adult world, but the keywords here end up being too young. I don't see a teenager, I see a child. And yeah, a 13-year-old is just barely starting their teenage years. I can understand Annabelle regressing a bit and acting younger out of insecurity, but comparing this Annabelle to the one we saw at the start of the movie, it feels out of character. The Annabelle from the introduction was relaxed and confident, and the Annabelle in Ellen's body switches between that and a pastiche of an innocent little girl. It's great acting, just not great writing. So far, the movie seems very bare bones. It wants to teach its characters a lesson, but we see the lesson from a mile away. Teens have responsibilities just like adults do. By spending a day being someone else, you gain a silent appreciation for all the little things they have to do and how well they deal with their own problems. But I kind of feel like the problems are not that big. Annabelle has schoolwork, but there's nothing at the start of the movie indicating that she can't manage it. In fact, there's a conversation where Ellen asks Annabelle to name one of her concerns, and this would be a great opportunity to have the daughter either snap and list a bunch of things she has to deal with, or roll her eyes and sigh, knowing that no matter what she says, her mother would never take it seriously. Instead, what we have is Annabelle struggling to come up with a single issue to name. She doesn't seem all that troubled. And the mom? Dude, the movie had the easiest job in the world. We all know how much unappreciated or straight up unpaid labor moms end up doing on the regular to keep their houses organized and their kids fed. Moms are the perfect example of a life that seems easy only to those who don't know what it's about. This mom, though, has it pretty easy. She hires people for everything. Her biggest chores are buying groceries, which is weird because she also seems to have them delivered, and picking up her son from school, which is only a challenge to Annabelle because the girl doesn't know how to drive. But these two characters actually have an incredibly huge source of problems. A presence in their lives so negative that it makes my blood boil. A burden they carry every single day, and which robs them of their agency and personhood. The man of the house, Bill. This freaking guy, absolutely sucks. Bill has some sort of generic office job, and he wants to impress some potential clients with a presentation by the water. Is this performance related to the product they're selling, perhaps? Kind of. I think the company builds piers and marinas, so they want to throw an aquacade for the buyers to enjoy. The creepy part comes in who will star the whole event. His daughter. Yes. His 13-year-old daughter will be the head of the presentation that can make or break this deal. A very healthy amount of responsibility to put on the shoulders of a teenager. Annabelle seems fine with it, but this will come back to haunt us later. As the dad is leaving for the office, unaware that his wife and child have switched bodies, he just starts barking orders at Ellen. He tells her to pick out his shirt and his matching socks, and to clean his suit and bring it all to him in the time for the afternoon show. When she asks him, more as a courtesy, if there's anything else that she could do, Bill also tells her to polish his shoes. And then, to really seal the deal, this walking pile of garbage says,
I do my job, you do yours, right?
A woman's job is to do whatever her husband tells her to. Fantastic. Annabelle does not take this lightly. She's smiling complacently, but in her mind, she's calling him a chauvinist pig. Her outrage increases later in the movie, when Bill calls her 3 hours before the event and tells her that the caterer bailed out. So Bill volunteered Ellen to cook for 25 people. She tries contesting it, but he doesn't give her a chance and slams the phone mid-conversation. It's her problem now, right? At this point, Annabelle is swearing loudly at him, but she's still trying her best to comply. After all, this is what mothers are supposed to do. This is the true nature of the challenges Ellen faces. It's not the cleaning or the laundry or the household managing. It's Bill. It's her husband. He is the one ordering her around and not giving her any say in it. So you'd think maybe he'd be nicer to his daughter, show the contrast between their perspectives, have Bill be all bossy and troublesome with Ellen, and then treat Annabelle like a perfect little angel? No! He's a jerk to her too! Ellen is in Annabelle's body, but Annabelle is supposed to be the star of an aquacade, performing a high-stakes water skiing number where she pulls off various tricks and jumps through a hoop of fire. Ellen does not have the skill to do it, and tries telling Bill that she is not up for the task. Bill does not know about the body swap, so all he sees is his teenage daughter desperately telling him that she does not want to perform. And what does he do? Throw her in the water anyway. This movie is trying to tell a sweet little story about a mother and a daughter who have to learn to respect each other's struggles and perspectives, but what it ends up doing is painting a scathing portrait of the flaming hells of being a woman in the 70s. Looking at it with a modern eye is wild. It infects the little brother too. There's a scene where Annabella's Ellen is picking him up from school, and the boy tells his mother about how he truly feels for his sister, not knowing it's Annabelle he's venting to. Annabelle doesn't like her brother very much, mostly because he's so neat and tidy, and she envies that about him, since she lacks those qualities herself. But the brother tells the mom about how, one time, he tried making a mess on purpose so Annabelle wouldn't be the only one getting in trouble, so he threw all his toys on the floor and didn't pick them up. And then you know what happened? The housemaid said he didn't know any better because he was just a little boy and cleaned the mess up for him, making Annabelle look like the only messy one. Side note, the maid actively refuses to clean Annabelle's room because she thinks it's a lady's responsibility to keep her quarters in order, and it's a mother's responsibility to pass those values down to her daughter. It's about misogyny. It's sexism all the way through. The dad traps his wife in a subservient role and takes away her agency when she tries to contest, and he forces his daughter to do his bidding, preparing her for a life of doing more of the same. Little boys are conditioned to perpetuate the system by those already ingrained in it, with the maid saying it's not his responsibility to clean his own mess, and refusing to offer the same grace to the women in her life. And it's not like the women are in favor of that. Annabelle thinks it's pretty crummy and voices her displeasure often, but Ellen never talks about it. Maybe because now that she's in Annabelle's body, she doesn't have to deal with it as much, or maybe because she's gotten used to it. However, the movie doesn't offer any sort of resolution to that. Bill never suffers any negative consequences for treating his wife and daughter that way. The women complain about the system, but are powerless to change it. The lack of resolution is a problem I have in general with this movie. There's a big climax involving a car chase and extreme water sports, and it takes up more screen time than it needs to. Annabelle and Ellen switch bodies back, but the way it happens is weird. They again utter the same phrase at the same time, triggering the freaky 70s visual effects, but instead of their souls being transported, it's their physical bodies. The souls stay where they are, but it's the bodies that change place. I feel like that's pushing the suspension of disbelief a bit, but whatever. Mother and daughter reunite, and they hug and make quick comments about the lessons they've learned over this very freaky Friday. The whole scene lasts about 2 minutes, and we never get a sense that these characters learn anything. It seems like they've spent the entire day just trying to get by, with no time to digest what was being thrown at them. When they get home, no explanation is given to the father. Good, because he's a pig and doesn't deserve their justification. Mother and daughter seem to have a pretty good relationship now, and we end on a vaguely comedic note, where the father and son express a similar wish to change places, and Annabelle and Ellen sigh in that, "Oh, here we go again" kind of way. So here's my final gripe with this movie. Mother and daughter barely interact. They talk a bit at the beginning, spend most of the movie apart, meet briefly at the very end, and that's it. In fact, I went back and counted how much time in this movie they spend talking to each other. Do you think the answer is A, less than 10 minutes, B, less than 7 minutes, or C, less than 5 minutes? And the answer is C, because they talk for 2.5 minutes. 2.5! That's 3% of the movie! 1970s Freaky Friday is a terrifying portrayal of how sexism robs women of their agency and the mother and daughter barely talk to each other. I wish I had nicer things to say about it, but the issues were too glaring to ignore. So let's move on to the next Freaky Friday, the classic Disney movie, the one we all know and love. The 1995 made-for-TV remake. That's right. You thought I was talking about the Lindsay Lohan one. No. I'm freaking Fridays you've never even heard of! This version was made by Disney and premiered on the ABC channel as part of a series of remakes they'd been releasing at the time. I hadn't heard of it until I'd started working on this video, but from what I've seen online, it did have its fair share of fans. A Good Samaritan posted a VHS rip for free on YouTube, and that's what we're watching today. Because legally, from where I live, there's no other way for me to access this movie. Also, I have no standards, and I think that the fuzz gives it charm. Okay, so the movie begins with— Ow! Ow! What the— Ow! Cut it out! The movie begins with it being Thursday the 12th, the normalest of all Thursdays. Ellen, the family mother, is a headstrong fashion designer trying to handle single parenting after divorcing her ex-husband.
Oh, no tengo tiempo. What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't know she was also bisexual. The daughter, Annabelle, still hasn't gotten over the betrayal of her parents' separation, and keeps acting out. The son, meanwhile, is being very normal. Right off the bat, this version of Annabelle stands out because she was given an actual personality, instead of being a blank canvas in the shape of a teenage girl. It just so happens that her personality is— well, I can't say the B word, so let's just call her outspoken. She bickers at every breathing person, picking on her brother, talking back to her mother, and rolling her eyes at every comment aimed at her, no matter how friendly. In fact, with the way she acts towards Ellen, one could think that Annabelle hates her mother, but that couldn't be further from the truth. One thing I really like about this movie is how they establish the strength of their bond through rather grounded moments sprinkled throughout the arguing. For example, Annabelle was tasked by her swimming coach to pick a teammate to join the permanent lineup, but Annabelle is conflicted about who to pick. Later that afternoon, she yells at her mother a bunch, but after dinner, the two are seen talking, and Ellen is offering Annabelle some advice on what to do. From the way the scene plays out, it's clear that Annabelle was the one who sought out her mother's counsel, even though they were at each other's throats 2 hours earlier. Annabelle is annoyed at the advice because her mother is suggesting she do the morally right thing instead of what will make her friends happy, but she still listens to it and takes it into consideration. This shows not only how much Annabelle values her mother's words and presence, but also how Ellen loves her daughter beyond her temper, helping Annabelle even after the girl had argued with her. Also, do you know what time it is? It is 15 minutes into the movie, and the two women have already interacted with one another more than the mother-daughter duo of the 70s version did in their 100 minutes of footage. In this version, Bill was upgraded from scum of the earth into regular man with office job, as he works as an accountant for Ellen's fashion company. The two of them have been dating for a while, and Bill wants to move in together, but Ellen won't do it unless he proposes. Annabelle hates Bill's guts, partly because that's her attitude towards most people at this point, but also because she feels like he doesn't take her seriously, something which her mother fails to see how it could be true. The old switcheroo in this one has a bit more lore behind it. Not only does the sun rise on Friday the 13th, but Bill also gives the ladies of the house matching ancient Chinese talismans that he picked up as a souvenir from a business trip. These talismans, as it is later revealed, have the power to enhance whatever the owners are thinking. And as mother and daughter both simultaneously think about switching places, that's exactly what happens. The switch happens while Bill is driving Ellen to work and Annabelle is on her way to school, so there's no way for them to communicate. Still, they figure that if one switched bodies, the other must have switched as well. Ellen, now in Annabelle's body, takes the first chance she gets to try to talk to Annabelle, now inhabiting Ellen's body. The main issue here is that Ellen was supposed to have an important business meeting that afternoon which could define the future of her firm. And Ellen knows that Annabelle, being 13 years old and completely out of the loop when it comes to managing a company, wouldn't be able to handle the situation. This serves to establish Ellen not only as the responsible adult in the situation, as she should be, but it also shows, again, how much she cares for her daughter. She's worried about the business, sure, but she's mostly concerned for Annabelle's well-being, as she knows her daughter is now trapped in an overwhelming situation. Annabelle is, in fact, struggling through the day without a clue of what to do, because, yeah, she's 13 years old. People are coming to her with important business questions and asking about fabric samples and checks, and they're speaking Spanish, and she just wants to lock herself in her office, listening to music and eating chocolate. She tries telling Bill that she's actually Annabelle, but of course, nobody believes her. Ellen tries doing the same, but no one has any reason to listen to the ramblings of a teenage girl, so they're both stuck as they are. And while perhaps it would be expected of them to try to act natural and keep up an illusion of normalcy, Ellen and Annabelle are not subtle about the switch. Annabelle doesn't even try acting as an adult. She talks back, she slouches, she yells, and behaves exactly like her teenage self. In her case, it feels completely accurate for her character. From what we've seen of her so far, she really isn't the type to change her behavior to please others. Being magically transformed into your mother isn't enough of a reason to start doing that either.
I've been trying to tell you what's wrong. I'm trapped in this body that isn't mine.
Ellen, in Annabelle's body, is no better, mostly because she keeps smoking cigarettes in plain view of her teachers and classmates. As a matter of fact, most of Ellen as Annabelle's adventures in this movie consist of wreaking havoc at school. She speaks up during biology class, calling for a riot against frog dissection. She skips classes and keeps roaming around the halls. She sneaks into the coach's private quarters to use her phone, and straight up ditches school at some point to go on her own side quests. She keeps being sent to the principal's office, and the principal looks more and more defeated every time she has to punish Annabelle, who, at this point, must have been sentenced to 3 years of detention. And Ellen couldn't care less. What are they going to do? Call her mom? She is her mom. The thing about Freaky Friday is that the premise seems more like a power fantasy for the daughter. It is natural for a minor, especially a teenager, to dream of the supposed freedom and independence that come with adulthood. For a teen to wake up in her mother's body, it means doing whatever she wants for a full day, with no parents to boss her around. While the mother, now stuck in the body of a minor, has no choice but to go to school, take tests, do homework, ask for permission to go to the bathroom, and all the other awful things that are forced upon children. But in this movie, it is Ellen who truly seizes the day, which offers a new spin on the premise while being a very likely outcome. After all, school drama might seem like the end of the world when you're a teen, but after you become an adult, that stuff is beneath you. and Ellen is not shy about it. She talks back at teachers with all the confidence and poise of a middle-aged businesswoman and isn't held back by their shallow displays of authority. In fact, during one of her outbursts, Ellen reveals that back when she was a student, she used to go to riots and fight for women's rights, and it is clear that fire has not been put out, even as the years went by. She is still a feisty teenager at heart, now armed with years of wisdom and experience, and she is not going to let some lousy teachers stop her from speaking her mind. Actually, the more she speaks out, the more she sounds like Annabelle. Suddenly, Annabelle's contrarian behavior seems perfectly natural. She got it from her mother. Over the course of the movie, they are both revealed to be extremely similar. They are dedicated, opinionated, sarcastic, they follow their own heart, and when push comes to shove, they stand up for themselves and for what they believe is right. And just from being in each other's place, they are letting their true personalities shine. In fact, Annabelle is revealing herself to be much more reasonable and responsible than people usually gave her credit for. Being in her mom's body, and her mom being a full legal adult, Annabelle could take the chance to blow off work and do whatever she wants. Go on a shopping spree, ride around town without a care in the world. There's even a moment where she stumbles upon her mother's credit card and has a little light bulb moment, like she'd forgotten that was even a thing. What does she do with unlimited access to Ellen's money? Buy a pair of roller skates so she can ride her way to the business meeting and get there in time, since she doesn't know how to drive. She even goes as far as purchasing a helmet and other safety equipment, mentioning that her mother would be upset if Annabelle scraped Ellen's body. Yeah, she throws in an extra pair of skates in her teen shoe size as a present, but all things considered, she could have done a lot more damage. In true movie fashion, Annabelle is unexpectedly successful at the business meeting, because the buyer is looking for a new line of clothes for teenagers. Oh my god, that is the nurse from Severance. Annabelle, being 13 years old, knows all about what teenagers are into, designing a line of clothes that breaks away from tradition and appeals to its target demographic. It was a risky move, and at times it seemed like it wasn't going to work, but Annabelle was doing her best to make sure her mother's company would survive past this very Freaky Friday, and it's satisfying to see her efforts being rewarded. While the daughter is struggling in the business world, the mother seizes up every chance she gets to learn more about the talismans. After a whole day of consulting grown-up after grown-up, she learns that unless the change is undone by sunset, it will become permanent. In a twist that I truly didn't see coming, Ellen, still in Annabelle's body, manages to come through to Bill and convinces him that the switch was real. This comes after a series of misunderstandings, where Ellen learned how Bill really doesn't take Annabelle seriously, and Annabelle learns of how much the man loves her mother, both now having a greater understanding of how the other feels. Annabelle and Ellen meet up for Annabelle's diving competition, which Ellen has to perform despite her fear of heights. While the mom tries to overcome her phobia and the daughter watches from the bleachers, they both think encouraging words towards one another, and the love and empathy they express is once again amplified by the talismans, switching them back into their original bodies. I will admit, after so many shenanigans, having the big ultimate showdown be a diving competition is a little weak, but only because the rest of the movie is so strong. By the end, when mother and daughter share a thoughtful conversation, both feeling like themselves again, there is a true sense that they have learned and grown together. When they say that they now realize how hard the other's life can be, it doesn't ring hollow like these family movies often are. This film, through every step of the way, showed how much these characters have learned and grown. Not only that, but it showed how both teenage and adult life can be challenging. As an adult, you have more freedom, but there's also more people counting on you. And as a teenager, you are either being constricted by those with power over you, or you are being given demands that go beyond what should be healthy or reasonable for your age. Ellen knows why Annabelle lashes out, because when put in the same situation, she lashed out too. And Annabelle knows just how much her mother has on her plate, and is more willing to help out with what she can. This remake greatly improves upon the execution of the original, and establishes a foundation that is strong enough to stand on its own. It's a shame that it appears to have slipped through the cracks, but it is never too late to give it the appreciation it deserves. And now we get to the one we've all been waiting for. This is it. The ultimate. It's automatic, I'm sure of it. The one that freakied my Fridays as a kid. The one that is so iconic, it's getting a whole sequel for it. Now, I remembered this one being spectacular, but also I watched it a lot as a kid, so I admit I might have been a little biased in saying that. Therefore, it begs the question, does it still hold up? Yes, oh my god, this one's so good. It's so good, you guys, please bear with me. We start with a montage of mothers and daughters throughout history, which serves to both remind us of the universality of the central relationship in this movie, and also to teach us that this film has a killer soundtrack. Anna Coleman, at 15 years old, has no easy life. Her teacher actively diminishes her, she's being bullied by a popular girl, the school staff never listens to her and always gives her detention, her little brother picks on her but never takes the blame, her band Pink Slip has yet to have their big break, and worst of all, she's still mourning the death of her father, who passed away 3 years earlier. To make matters worse, her mother is about to get married, but Anna is not ready to let her stepfather into her life. Speaking of the mom, Tess Coleman, she also has her fair share of troubles. She's a successful psychologist with a published book, but she has to balance her career and her life as a single parent, dealing with needy patients and agitated children. She's been looking forward to marrying her boyfriend Ryan, but she knows how much her teenage daughter Anna resents her for it. But talking to Anna about it is impossible. As is typical of these movies, Anna and Tess don't see eye to eye. But I feel like this remake has a better balance on exactly why the duo is having troubles. Tess might be trying her best, but she can be overly strict and isn't always supportive, refusing to see her daughter's side of the situation. Meanwhile, Anna can be just as stubborn, convinced that her mother's tough love is a huge plot to ruin her life, and doesn't try to understand where Tess is coming from. When the family has dinner at a Chinese restaurant,
Chinese food, good luck.
But it's actually all planned already.
Okay, how about me?
Jesus Christ, why do we keep doing this? Why couldn't we be normal about Asian people in the 2000s? Even the 1995 movie was better than this. The restaurant owner offers them some fortune cookies, which the duo reluctantly accepts. They read the fortune at the same time, accidentally reciting the spell, and trigger an earthquake that only they seem to feel. This is the catalyst for the switch, fully ditching the Friday the 13th angle. The change itself happens as the clock strikes midnight, and the two women wake up in the wrong bodies. Now this is a solid perk about the movie. So far, the switch had happened midday, as mother and daughter were already off on their own adventures, and for some reason they automatically chose to carry on, instead of stopping whatever they were doing and trying to find one another. This was odd to me, as I don't feel regular people would act this way. But in the 2003 remake, they wake up with switched bodies, and actually talk to each other about the switch. Oh yeah, they talk. They never stop talking to each other. They interact all the time. This is such a huge source of comedy for the movie. To see the teen wagging her finger at her slouching mom, fully cementing the role reversal. On the previous iterations, the mother-daughter pairs interact surprisingly little, and it was such a missed opportunity. This seems to be the first movie that fully embraces the potential of the premise. At first, the pair figures it's best to just stay home until they switch back, But it turns out they both have things they can't miss on that Friday. Anna has a crucial test, and Tess has patience counting on her. So they agree to act as each other and deal with those events, and then later meet up again and try to switch back. In that regard, I feel like Tess as Anna is served the biggest reality check. At first, she thinks Anna's life is easy, and even tells her daughter that she would be able to live through a whole day of high school without getting detention, something that Anna always failed to do. However, once Tess has to step into Anna's shoes, she realizes how much everyone seems to be out to get her. For starters, Tess realizes it really was Anna's brother and not Anna who started the conflict most of the time, and that Anna had been just lashing out in retaliation. Anna had a high school bully named Stacy, which Tess tries to disarm with the power of communication, but the girl only pretends to fall for it and later strikes back with full malice, getting Tess as Anna in trouble. Worst of all, Tess has to deal with Anna's English teacher. Anna was failing the subject, despite putting in a good effort, and Tess had always blamed Anna for it, thinking the girl was simply being irresponsible. But when Tess crafts a complex analysis of Hamlet and still gets a failing grade, she realizes the teacher really had been out to get her daughter. Not only that, but she understands that the teacher had a vendetta not against Anna, but against Tess, because Tess had refused a dance invitation from him when they were in high school. In Anna's body, she tells him off, and finally comprehends that Anna's dissatisfaction with her school life came from a very reasonable place, instead of it being just drama. And remember that thing I said about power fantasies? Anna as Tess takes full advantage of that. She deals with the patients, sure, and even does a great job offering a snooping mother some harsh but necessary words, but that's barely important to Anna. Stressing out about a body switch? Nah, it's shopping montage time. She gives her mother a modern haircut, buys her trendy clothes, pierces her ear, and changes her into a confident, cutting-edge girl boss of a MILF. The biggest conflict in the movie takes the form of the rehearsal dinner that is happening on that very Freaky Friday, with Tess's wedding being on Saturday. Earlier in the film, Anna and Tess, still in their own bodies, have a big fight about it. Tess really wants Anna to be there, but Anna's band was invited to audition at Wango Tango, and Anna would have to miss the dinner if she wants to play there. Tess feels hurt that Anna isn't giving her big night the proper importance, and Anna is hurt that her mother doesn't see the band is important to her too. More than that though, there's the problem of Ryan, Tess's soon-to-be husband. He tries his best, but he just can't get Anna to like him. With the body switch, Tess asks Anna as Tess to not kiss Ryan, a request that Anna is more than happy to follow. Which is also something I feel is glossed over in the other movies. The sheer terror of being 15, trapped in the body of a 40-something-year-old, and having to kiss some older guy you see as a father figure at best and a nuisance at worst. In fact, the way this movie plays with affection is absolutely hilarious. They are creating love triangles with so many sides and edges it's a whole new geometric shape. You see, Tess likes Ryan, but Anna doesn't like Ryan, and Ryan wants to kiss Tess, but Anna is Tess and does not want to be kissing Ryan. Anna would much rather kiss Jake, her high school crush, and Jake wants to kiss Anna too, but Tess as Anna does a terrible job at being a teenager, and Jake is starting to fall in love with Anna as Tess, but Tess is supposed to be marrying Ryan. So it's not like Anna as Tess can go around kissing teenage boys, but Anna really wants to. But Jake doesn't know that Anna's mom is actually Anna, and he is falling in love with a 40-year-old woman who is really a 15-year-old, while the 40-year-old, trapped in the body of a 15-year-old, wishes she could make out with a middle-aged man. If I try to draw a shipping chart for this, it'll be a plate of noodles. The love interests actually play a big part in this story. Jake is a high schooler, I think, because he hangs around the school a lot, but he never seems to be studying. And at some point, he even reveals that he works there, but whatever. And he kind of has a crush on Anna, and Anna fancies him too, but she is reluctant to pursue a relationship with him because she knows her mother would never approve, with him being slightly older and having long hair and driving a motorcycle. And yes, to be fair, any outside lookers would paint Jake as trouble, and that's exactly what Tess does. But as Tess becomes trapped in Anna's body, she soon finds herself to be interacting a lot with Jake, and he reveals himself to be level-headed, mature, and responsible, while Tess herself, ever so mad at the injustices she now understands her daughter has to deal with on a daily basis, finds herself succumbing to her teenage instincts, being petty, impulsive, and unreasonable. At first, you would assume Jake would find Tess as Anna's quirks too old for him, but it's really the opposite. After seeing Anna vandalize the test of her high school bully, he concludes that she is, in fact, too young. Meanwhile, Anna, trapped in Tess's body, has the opportunity to strike up a conversation with Jake, and the two really hit it off. So much so that he becomes absolutely infatuated with her. And you see this chill, collected guy drop the act completely. He follows Tess around, professes his eternal love for her, and goes to her house to serenade her, just singing very loudly, completely out of tune outside her window. He is trying to seduce a woman who is about to get married. And that's the true comedy of it. He thinks he's in love with Tess, but he is truly in love with Anna.
I'll give you one thing, he definitely likes you for your mind.
Jake is such a fun character. He has passion, he has personality. You can see why Anna likes him, and when she talks to him as Tess, you feel how truly compatible they are. And while Anna has her sweetheart, Tess also found love in the form of Ryan. Now, Ryan has the name of a hot blonde member of a boy band, but he is actually a middle-aged man. For most of the movie, you see a side of him that's a bit more stoic, but he still lets a lot of affection show through little actions. He lets his soon-to-be stepson eat chocolate ice cream in secret before dinner. He knows Anna's favorite dish and orders it specially for her. He gets Tess a spot on her favorite talk show to discuss her book. He doesn't know it's Anna inside Tess's body, but the thought still counts. Anna, however, does not like Ryan and refuses to talk about why. Ryan has to put up with a lot throughout this movie. He is about to get married, but his fiancée is acting completely crazy. She won't kiss him, rolls her eyes at him, changes her style completely, can't talk about her own book, and rides home on the back of some stranger's motorcycle while hugging him tightly, smiling like a schoolgirl. Tess and Anna might be having the freakiest of Fridays, but he's not having a normal one either. The mother-daughter duo is in a bit of a dilemma. The wedding is this Saturday, but Anna does not want to marry Ryan, and Tess wants to be the man's wife, not stepdaughter. So they have to figure out a way to switch back before the wedding. Going back to the fortune cookies, they learn that what will undo the switch is a mutual act of selfless love, but they have no idea how to make that happen. During the wedding reception, nobody seems to be having a good time. Anna is a nervous wreck, Tess is bored and uncomfortable, and Ryan wonders why his fiancée has become a stranger to him. Anna's friends then crash the dinner because, as it turns out, Wango Tango is just a block away from the venue, and they want their friend to come play guitar at the audition. Tess as Anna doesn't want to go, and Anna as Tess knows that there's no way Ryan would let Anna go, because as she sees it, he's never been supportive of her. This is when Ryan shows his true colors, and Anna sees a side of him that she didn't know existed. Ryan tells the teenager to go play with her friends, and then tells Tess, who is really Anna, that he doesn't want to be the strict stepfather who never believes in his children. He wants to support them and let them grow into whoever they want to be, and he wished Anna could understand that. Through his words, Anna learns of how much Ryan actually cares for her, and how he also wants Tess to be there for Anna. Anna as Tess rushes to Wango Tango, as Tess as Anna is unsuccessfully trying to play the guitar. But Anna plays her own instrument backstage, as Tess pretends to be rocking the house. The success of the band is obviously a huge deal for Anna, but this moment was crucial for Tess as well. She was finally able to see her daughter's talent, and understood how much time and effort and skill Anna had applied to this band, as well as how much it means to her. Tess had heard Anna play before, but had never really tried to listen. She had heard Anna complain about how hard her life is, but had never truly believed her. She had been so caught up in her own problems that she'd never imagined her daughter had been going through something as well. And so, Tess chooses to do something for Anna. She tells Anna to call off the wedding. She knows her daughter does not want to marry Ryan. It would be weird and inappropriate and unethical. Tess really wanted the wedding to happen, but not like this. Not when it will make her daughter so miserable. Neither of them deserve that. Anna understands, and in return, chooses to do something for Tess. In a heartfelt speech, she reveals her true feelings, although posing them as her daughter's. She says that she finally understands how Anna feels, and that Anna didn't want to get close to Ryan because she was still mourning the death of her father. But she saw how much happier her mother was after she'd met him, and now she understood how much Ryan cared for her family as well. She welcomes Ryan into the family with open arms. Anna would do it. She'd marry Ryan, she'd go through with it, she'd let him into her life, because she now understands how much it means to her mother, and how much they'd all been hurting because Anna didn't let her love shine through. A mutual act of selfless love. There's an earthquake, which everyone feels this time, and mother and daughter go back to their own bodies. And I cried. I'm sorry, I cried. Actually, I'm not sorry. This movie slaps. It's so tightly written. The humor, the jokes, the dialogue, everything lands. Every second of this movie is greatly utilized. There's always something happening, either moving the plot along, delivering a solid line, or revealing more about these wonderfully developed characters. It stands the test of time, and it never fails to impress. And you know what the best part is? Bill isn't in it. Go die in a fire, Bill. I have a 2000 end credits dance sequence to attend. Did you know they made a musical one? That's cool. None of the others were musicals. Also, the characters in this freaking hate each other's guts. Yeah, it's all hate. They say they love each other, but I don't buy it. It's hateful, spiteful freaks all the way down. Fine, maybe I'm being too harsh. I only truly mean that about the mom and the daughter. You know, the core duo of Freaky Friday. So, let's get on with it. Freaky Friday 2018, the original Disney Channel musical movie. We open with 3 teenagers looking at their phones. You would think they would be checking out some sort of social media feed, but no. They're obsessing over the website for The Hunt, a scavenger hunt event hosted every year by a student from their school. It's a series of challenges of varying difficulties that need to be completed over the span of one night, and our protagonist Ellie really wants to win it. The problem is the hunt is happening on that very night, and the next day is her mother's wedding. The mother, Catherine, absolutely sucks. Nope, I'm sorry, I cannot stand this woman. We're introduced to her as she perfectly arranges a set of fruit on a plate, a scene that is meant to convey that she is some sort of control freak. That's not why I hate her. My problem is more that she is absurdly toxic. Look at this. She walks into her daughter's room without knocking, then compliments her daughter's friend on the way she looks, and immediately says,
See? She looks nice. You could do that.
unprovoked? Her daughter is just chilling. Then in comes the mom, like, hey, why can't you be pretty? Your friend looks nice, why can't you look nice? Then she bullies her daughter over how messy her room is and how stinky her clothes are, picks on her fashion style, and tells her to come down for breakfast. Later on, even as her brother is actively provoking Ellen for no reason, Catherine takes the brother's side. Ellen then asks if she could take part on the hunt, and Catherine shuts her down, saying that she personally thinks the hunt is scary and dangerous, and doesn't want her daughter to be tired on her wedding day. So it's a no. Even though she barely let her daughter explain herself, she won't hear any more about it. Her daughter, understandably, is pretty upset and lashes out at the mom, saying she hates her. And I'm like, girl, me too. She stomps her way to her room, and any reasonable person would see the daughter obviously wants to be alone and should take some time to clear her head. But not Catherine. Oh no, this mother follows her stressed out teenage daughter upstairs to keep yelling at her. Sure, this will make things better. Let's both have a discussion while we can't control our emotions. I'm sure nothing bad will come of it. Well, this is a musical, so they sing about it. And while they do, they hold on to this, frankly, hideous hourglass prop. It's supposed to be a gift that Ellie's father gave her before he died, and it's got a lot of sentimental value, and it's also magical, but it really looks like a craft project. But yeah, it's magical, and it sparkles up and makes them switch bodies. To be fair, I do prefer this over, vaguely offensive Chinese magic, but the hourglass still looks ugly. They break the ornament and now they're stuck like this. The good news is that Ellie's late father had actually gifted 2 hourglasses before passing, one to the daughter and one to the mom. The bad news is that the mom, in trying to process her grief, sold it to an antique store. They would love to go out and get it back, but Catherine has an important interview for a magazine regarding her wedding, and Ellie has missed too many school days in a row and will flunk if she skips class again. So, you know the drill. Mother goes to school, daughter goes to the interview. And they also sing about it. And from here on out, I swear, every decision these two make is motivated by hate. They have to act like each other, as is par for the course, but they barely even try. Catherine, now in Ellie's body, immediately fixes her hair back and wears a jacket that Ellie despises. Not because it will make the act more convincing, but because this is how Catherine wishes Ellie would dress, and she wants nothing more than to control her daughter. The thing about the interview is that Catherine is a self-made businesswoman who is catering and hosting her own wedding and rehearsal dinner. And an important magazine caught wind of her story and wanted her to be on the cover of their next edition. Catherine, in Ellie's body, briefly explains to her child that, actually, she's kind of relying on that article to bring new business to the company, because otherwise, they will go into debt and lose the house. So it's really important that Ellie does a good job. What does Ellie do? She deliberately dresses up like a hot mess, shows up late, brags about showing up late, loudly slurps her drink, talks with her mouth full, diminishes her mother's accomplishments at every interview question, burps at the journalists, makes faces at the camera, messes up her bride and groom dance, and smashes the wedding cake her mother had worked on. This isn't just teenage impulsivity, this is mean. She's being mean on purpose. She's ruining her mother's life on purpose. She knows how much this matters to her mother, to her whole family, and she could not care less. It's all just a big joke. Meanwhile, Catherine's being weird. And I don't just mean weird because of the switch. The mothers and daughters always act weird in these movies. It's part of the fun. No, Catherine's being weird. Like, inappropriate weird. You see, Ellie has a crush on Adam, the boy responsible for the scavenger hunt. Catherine doesn't know this, but she can tell her daughter and the boy have a close relationship from the way he talks to her at school. They have biology class together, and when Adam pays Ellie a compliment, Ellie's body reacts to it like a teenager would, and she gets all flustered. Except it's not Ellie in there. It's Catherine, the 40-something-year-old woman. And this middle-aged control freak then sings a whole song about how her heart's beating fast, and she feels giddy and shaky, and how all she wants is to give in to those feelings. Feelings for a teenage boy. It's supposed to come across like she's at the mercy of hormones or something, but at no point Catherine expresses any sort of discomfort with the situation. She's more than happy to sing about all these romantic feelings that she's having over, again, a teenage boy. I don't want to keep comparing movies because I want each piece to stand out on its own, but I want to look back at the 2003 remake. In that movie, the love quadrangle works because teens are only attracted to teens, and the adults are only attracted to adults. When Jake sings a serenade to Tess, it's funny because we know he's really in love with Anna, the teenager trapped in a middle-aged body. Meanwhile, the actual teenager is acting like an adult and telling him to keep away from the much older woman he's pursuing. But in the 2018 version, we have a grown woman singing the big love song of the movie about a boy half her age that she shared like 5 sentences of dialogue with. They want the viewers to think that it's Ellie's body that is in love with Adam, but at that moment, Catherine is inside that body, and she is expressing those feelings a touch too eagerly. It falls flat, it's weird. Let's move on. The antique shop that had the hourglass closed down and sold off its inventory to 33 other antique shops in town, so looking for the ornament just became 33 times more difficult. Ellie has the idea of asking her mom, still inside Ellie's body, to talk to Adam and convince him to put the hourglass as an item in the scavenger hunt, so they can get the whole school looking for it. Catherine tries telling Adam to do that, but he thinks that she's trying to cheat on the game and gets upset. Meanwhile, Ellie as Catherine is taking the dog on a walk along with her brother, and she decides to sing a whole song about how parents are liars and the boy should give up on his dreams of being a magician. Again, unprovoked. Like, okay, I get it. She has a lot of pent-up anger because her father died and she can't cope with the grief. But dude, your brother's 8, I think. He's young. He doesn't need an adult, let alone his own mother, telling him that life sucks and his parents will leave him. The kid's upset and decides to run away to Vegas to be a magician. Catherine and Ellie are too busy to notice because they're hosting the wedding rehearsal, which is honestly such a negligible part of the movie, I'm not even sure why it's there. Ellie's friends come to confront her at her house because the way they see it, Ellie's been acting weird all day, which she has, and they don't want to do the hunt with her anymore. Ellie, in Catherine's body, sees the way her mother ruined her friendships and immediately retaliates, telling her fiancé that she is not feeling this whole marriage thing. Coldly, on purpose, with the specific intention of hurting her mother. I'm telling you, they hate each other. The rehearsal is cut short because people finally realize Ellie's brother is missing and start a search for him, but Adam finds him and brings him home and everything's fine. No, really, everything is fine. The fiancé forgets all about Catherine trying to break up with him, Ellie's friends go back to her house and say they forgive her, it's all good. Why even have conflict in the movie if it's all gonna come down to nothing? Ellie, in Catherine's body, talks to Adam and explains the sentimental reason behind the hourglass, and Adam agrees to put it as a challenge on the hunt, because he also forgives Ellie, because nothing matters anymore. Ellie tells Catherine that it'll be weird if a mom takes part in the scavenger hunt, so Catherine is going to have to do it in Ellie's body. The reporters come back and say that Catherine's wedding story wasn't good enough to make the cover, and Ellie is shocked? Dude, you botched that interview on purpose, and now you're trying to act upset? Whatever. She says some crap about how they should publish a story about her being a self-employed single parent, because that's feminism or something, I don't know. The reporters go with it because nothing has lasting consequences in this movie. Scavenger hunt montage. Catherine finds the thing, they run around a bunch, they win, yay! She gets to keep the hourglass even though she straight up stole it from a shop. I'm assuming she went back and paid for it off screen, but from how immoral both Catherine and Ellie are, I wouldn't be surprised if she never did it. Catherine and Ellie try switching back before the wedding, but it doesn't work. Ellie has to go down the aisle in Catherine's body, and Catherine has to walk her down the aisle while still holding the hourglass? Put that thing away, girl! It looked ridiculous. And again, I don't want to keep comparing the movies, but remember in the 2003 remake when Tess realized that it wouldn't be fair to make her teenage daughter marry Ryan, so she tells Anna it's okay if she calls off the wedding, and Anna makes a toast welcoming Ryan into the family, essentially telling her mother that she would be willing to sacrifice herself for the sake of her marriage because she cares that much for her mother's well-being? Here, Ellie as Catherine looks into her fiancé's eyes and says she doesn't want to do it. Nope, screw her mom. She can't marry the guy. Not enough selfless love and that little angry heart. It's supposed to be a sweet moment as she turns to her mother stuck in the teenage body and says that she finally understands. All this time, she thought her mother was trying to control her. But now Ellie realizes that Catherine only wanted to protect her, which is a completely empty statement. This woman almost ruined your life, and you almost ruined hers. But the hourglass likes it because it starts glowing at last, and they sing a song about loving each other and switch back, and the mother gets married, and there's a dance montage, and I did not like this one. Did not like it. Why is everybody so spiteful? I do not believe for 1 second that mother and daughter love each other by the end. I think they're just traumatized and sleep deprived. They will say anything to get that gaudy looking hourglass to sparkle. Is this a bad take? Am I swinging a bat at a hornet's nest? Will the Freaky Friday 2018 fandom come after me? Objectively speaking, not a bad movie. Decent songs, cool choreography, pretty to look at. But personally, I want this Friday to stay the freak away from me. And there we have it. 4 whole Freaky Friday movies, each with their own quirks, ups, and downs. What I find so stellar about this premise is how timeless it is. We all have wished, at some point in our lives, that someone could switch places with us, just to get a taste of what our life is like. Of course, we all wish for the lessons, but none of the mishaps. But that's where the comedy lies, and each movie, to the best of their ability, tried to take advantage of that. I might have my preferences, but in the end, the best movie will depend on your taste. Either way, it's clear we haven't had enough of this story, and we might see lots of other Fridays get freaky as the years go on. And personally, I say, good! Let's keep on having fun. Who knows what else these mothers and daughters will get into. Thank you for watching.
Well, hello there. It was very nice of you to watch this video. Special thanks to my beautiful patrons for making videos like these possible. You guys are the guitar solo that single-handedly saves my audition. If you have enjoyed the video, you can also help me out by clicking the like button, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell too. You can also follow me on a bunch of different places, such as Blue Sky, the website formerly known as Twitter, and my second channel. The link to all of those things will be in the description. Share this video with your friends if you're feeling extra generous. Feel free to leave a comment down below, especially if it is about how much you love Freaky Friday. I spent my vacations editing this video and I'm really tired. make all of your friends watch this one so that my efforts will have been worth it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
Hit me!